Thanksgiving's coming up, and for some of us, we overindulge. And, we see a lot of news reports around this time of year talking about obesity rates and things like that for we humans. But what about our pets? What about their obesity levels? We're going to talk a little bit about that, but more importantly, things that you should and shouldn't feed your pets for the Thanksgiving holiday. Here from Cinema Veterinary Center, Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I do want to talk about this. So first of all, especially as a veterinarian, when you see pets coming in every day, you see probably your fair share of what would be considered overweight dogs at the very least, right?
Yes.
Or cats too, I should say.
Both.
What is considered obese in a pet? Where is that dividing line between a little overweight and morbidly obese?
We do a lot by body condition scoring, meaning we actually look at the pet. We don't just go by the weight on the scale, but when you look at them, if you are seeing more round than sort of a little hourglass figure, you want to be able to feel their ribs fairly easily without really having to poke through a lot of fat to find them. And they should have a little bit of a waist. So when you look at them from above or from the side, you should see that little bit of a waist tucking up. And many times that's not there.
It's kind of like beagles on their average is 30 pounds, but Buddy, my oldest, has always been 34 pounds, but he's always been lean. So it's not always to see why you wouldn't do that. Or go strictly off of weight, because it's sometimes how they're built.
Exactly.
But I want to talk a little bit about how we tend to, first of all, we tend to do that where we give treats to our pets, especially this time of year, because maybe it makes us feel less guilty about having our own treats, but especially when we have guests coming over and our pets are part of it. Let's say we don't kennel them or can keep them outside, and they're perfectly wonderful among the guests and not causing any problems. But I want to talk about some of the things. I found a list of items that you should not feed pets for the holidays, and I want to talk at least about a few of them. First of all, turkey skin.
Yes.
And undercooked meats.
Yes.
Now, turkey skin, and that's the thing. Dogs love that turkey skin.
Sure.
And
I mean,
chicken skin.
It's yummy stuff,
So do
but
humans.
that's where a lot of the seasoning is, and many seasonings, too many spicy things as well as can upset their tummies and cause problems.
And do dogs have to concern themselves with sodium intake as well as humans? Is the
Absolutely.
Same thing? So then also seasoning. I know I love putting that rock salt on stuff. And of course gravy as well. Dogs love gravy, but again, it's from the fat drippings it's usually made from.
Yes.
So those are the things too, right?
Yes, higher fat foods like the gravies can cause serious gastrointestinal problems like pancreatitis, where they get inflammation of the pancreas. It's very painful, and we see that a lot this time of year.
And also, there's the running question: can dogs, cats, or I should say, can pets have turkey on its own?
Plain turkey without any seasonings, is fine.
White meat as opposed to dark meat, or does it matter?
It probably doesn't matter too much. Plain chicken would be fine too. Everything in moderation, small amounts. If you want that as a treat, that would be okay, but you don't want to give them a whole bowl of it.
And of course, we talked a little bit about gravy, but stuffing and potatoes and things like that. You don't want to give them the same food that we're eating.
Right.
I want to go on to some of the sweets too, like cranberry sauce. Is something that maybe dogs love to eat, especially if you spill it on the ground. But that's something that is there a reason? Is there too much sugar in it?
The high sugar content, is not good for them. And you want to be careful. Sugars just in general. I think I mentioned around Halloween time, you want to be careful with sugars and certainly the sugar substitutes, because anything with xylitol in it is actually very toxic to them.
So none of your sucralose or other types of products that may have that. I'm trying to think of which one. I think sucralose is the one. I could be wrong. The one I love. The yellow packet stuff. But also things like I read that sweet potatoes and pumpkin are actually good for dogs, but not sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie.
Right. Nothing with the pies, again, with the sugar and all the extra stuff in it is not good for them.
Exactly.
But if it's plain canned pumpkin, for instance, adding a small amount of that to their food can actually be really good for them. It helps add a little bit of fiber to their diet. It helps keep them regular. It's a good thing.
We do that for our dogs every now and then, especially, But anyway, not to get into detail. But and of course, like fruits or nuts as well, are things that the dog should stay away from.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
many nuts can also be toxic.
And of course, alcohol.
Yes.
Don't think you're being funny feeding the dog a little bit of beer, And I've had dogs where I've accidentally, back when I used to drink beer and it spilled some on the ground, they'd run lick it up before you could get
sure.
it. But dogs, it's like anything else. A, you don't want a drunk dog. B, you don't want to have those types of problems that are associated with the sugars and everything in there.
Exactly.
Not to mention, and I want to use 3 words here very carefully, but silent but deadly. When dogs have gastric problems, they can suck the air out of the room, so to speak. And especially when you have guests in your home, that's
Yes.
not necessarily the time to do that. So is it good to do things like instruct your guests, please don't feed the dogs from the table and things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let them know what the rules are in your house and what they can and can't have, and hopefully everybody will abide by those.
What about like giving the dogs a special Thanksgiving meal, such as like raw vegetables or something like that, if they so choose to eat them?
Veggies is great. Like we mentioned earlier, if you want to add a little bit of the plain turkey to their food so they feel a little bit included. Steamed veggies is great. Raw veggies are great. A little bit of white rice would be fine. All of those things are pretty easy to digest.
Yes, and those are actually really good from a weight control thing too. If you have a opportunity to cook regularly for your pets, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so you might want to consider that if your dog, if you're seeing a round dog instead of a shapely dog, you might want to consider at least adding that as part of your diet. Doctor, so much, of course. Thank you so much. I should say, CinemaVet.com, Cinema Veterinary
Yes.
Center, located on Cinema Drive in beautiful Valencia, and the number is
661-253-9300.
outstanding. Thanks, Doc, once again
Thank
for stopping
you.
by.